All right, Hotep, Hotep, Hotep. Peace and love. Welcome back, brothers and sisters, and everyone, all my viewers. Welcome back for another edition of Truth Seekers. All right, so listen, we're going to get into this. Y'all know what today is. It is Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve. So, y'all know I got to drop another video. I did it for you last year. You want to check it out? I will try to remember to leave the thing up top. You may be seeing it right now, so just click that and go ahead and check out the matter of fact, I'm not going to leave it there. I'm not going to leave it here right now. I'm going to put it at the end of this video so you can go back and watch last year's video that I did. But in this video, I'm going to recap all of what I did from last year. So you only need to watch that if you want to, okay? But on that note, all I'm going to say is hold on to your seats because this ride is about to get bumpy. Okay, so now I'm back and let's get into this video because I have to break this down one more time for my brothers and my sisters because it is of dire importance that I get you all, as much of you as possible, that is, to see and understand that this celebration of the Christ Mass, Jesus the Christ, being born in a manger on this day of December 25th is nothing more than myth, and it is nothing more than a solar ceremony, a solar celebration. Okay, so let's talk about religion. Now, if you see me looking over here, that's just because I have my notes pulled up on my other computer, so you may see me glance this way from time to time. That's just so I can keep in line with what I want to speak to you about by looking at my notes. So let's talk about religion. Now, religion is mostly equated with what? Faith and the belief in a higher power or truth, right? Now, see, Western scientific tradition demonizes every indigenous culture or tradition as a religion. Now, you got to understand that this is basically only done to place the European perspective on reality at the pinnacle of human development. That's all it really is, okay? They need to keep themselves on the top. And how do they do this? They do this by categorizing everyone's beliefs, customs, and traditions into this genre known as religion. We have different religious sects, as you all should know. Baptist, Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness, Islam, Hindu. They call all of these religions. All these are called religion. Even if we're talking about agnostic and Confucianism, okay? Or even if we're talking about agnostic and philosophical, okay? Now, agnostic is basically the belief that one can never say whether there is really a God. Now, that does not necessarily mean that agnostics, which are mostly which is dealt with when we deal with Buddhism, that does not necessarily mean that they don't believe there is a higher power, but they do pretty much understand that it cannot necessarily be proven. So, once again, I will say this. Like I always like to say, for me, God is that omnipresence that is keeping all in existence in motion. God is that omnipresent that has created all life amongst this planet, okay, and keeping all life in rotation throughout this planet. That to me is God. Now, in my last video, what will it take for black people to wake up? I pretty much broke down how God how God keeps everything afloat. Not how God keeps everything afloat. Excuse me, I lost my train of thought for a minute. But I basically broke down the coffin text and how God Amen spoke everything into existence, and how that coffin text found in the tomb of Unis in Saqqara, Egypt, is, if you want to call it that, one of the oldest religious texts just about, well, in the world, okay, to date, all right? And God Amen spoke everything into creation. And he started with Pt.1. Pt.1 was that mountain that came up out of the mortal water, okay? And throughout out of all the chaos, okay? That mountain represents matter, okay? And then he created Ra, okay? Or no, I'm sorry, I'm going backwards. He created Ra being the sun, okay? He created all the things that his heart desired, okay? I'm just saying he, okay? I'm not necessarily saying that God Amen was in fact a man or a woman, okay? But if we want to talk about God being a universal God, then of course we have to address it as a woman. Why? Because the universe is electron, which is feminine energy. So if we classify the universe as being God, then why then all throughout Western society is God labeled as a man? Why? I don't understand that, okay? It's not negative energy. It's not masculine energy. It is feminine. It's not masculine energy. It's feminine energy, okay? So, as I was saying in the coffin text, as I broke down in that last video, what will it take black people for black people to wake up? God Amen is speaking everything into creation, starting with the sun, Ra symbolizing energy, and then Pt.1 is that mountain that comes up out of the mortal water, okay? After all the chaos has settled, that is that mountain that comes up, okay? And that mountain is symbolizing energy, okay? And from there we have Shu, and we have tough nut, okay? We have air and moisture, okay? And then we have Gabe, and we have Gabe, and we have Newt, which is the earth and the heavens, okay? And then we have man being created, which would be Osiris, and which would be Asar and Aset, okay? And this whole creation story is basically the same creation story, just regurgitated in their own words that we can find in Genesis. God is speaking everything into creation when God is saying, let there be light. All of these things he allegedly spoke into creation, because they were not there until God appeared out of darkness and created these things. How did he create them? With sound, speaking them into creation. Okay, so getting off of that, all right, you got to understand that that's basically what religion all boils down to, in a nutshell, to simplify it, okay? Religion just basically boils down to, or can be equated as the faiths and the beliefs of people have in a higher power or a truth, okay? And when we deal with the Europeans basically, they demonize all ancient and indigenous traditions and cultures as religion, and this is all only done so that that European perspective, okay, on reality can put them at the top of the pinnacle as far as human development is concerned, Okay? And the problem that we are having now as black people, as a people, African Aborigine people, is that we have gone away from our customs. We have gone away from our traditions, and we have adopted all of these things, all of these religions. Okay? Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing, okay? Because, and I'll quote it again from Dr. John Henry Clark, any religion can be good, depending, as long as you know the truth, and depending upon how you use it. Okay? Because much of Western religion, as we all know, it comes from our traditions and our indigenous customs and traditions in the first place. So, intertwined in Western religion is our own culture, customs, and traditions. Okay? But our customs and traditions were based more on a spiritual level, were based more on a cosmic solar level. Okay? We were in tune with the universe. You understand? This is why we meditated at certain times of the day, and this is why at certain times of the year we had certain ceremonies. Okay? Call it rituals, call it whatever you want to call it. Okay? But we need to get this understanding. Okay? And when it comes to this whole celebration of this Christ Mass, this alleged day where this man savior by the name of Jesus the Christ was born, that is basically no more than us celebrating the sun coming back to the northern hemisphere. Okay? Because during the winter solstice, and it begins somewhere around December 21st, okay? During the winter solstice, we see the sun coming back to the north on December 24th, okay? On the eve of Christmas, okay? The sun was coming back to the north. Look this up. You don't got to believe me? Look it up. Look it up. I implore you to look it up. I want you to look it up. Excuse me. Because I want you to know and I want you to see it for yourself. Okay? And that's all it was all about. Okay? The celebration of the sun. The sun coming back towards the north. Moving towards the north 1 degree. And from that time we begin to count 90 days. Okay? We begin to count to the next season. Okay? And why do we follow the story of these three wise men that followed a star? Well, the three wise men, as I broke down in another one of my videos, okay, the three wise men, that's all dealing with the three brightest stars in Sirius, okay, in Orion's belt, okay, the three brightest stars in that night, and how it aligned perfectly with the sun as the sun rose back up, okay, coming back up towards the north, okay, it aligned perfectly with those three brightest stars, okay, in the sky. So, like I said, if you don't believe me, please, brothers and sisters, go look this stuff up. But we got to get this stuff together, because as long as we keep celebrating this religion, as long as we keep celebrating this holiday, as long as we keep holding on to these religions that were forced upon our ancestors by our enslavers, we are never going to truly be free. So you can run around and you can talk about how you're conscious, how you're awake, how you want your people to be free, blah, blah, blah. But yet and still you holding on to all the traditions and all the customs of your enslaver. That doesn't make sense, and that don't add up. You can't have it like that. It can't be like that. You understand what I'm saying? In order to truly break free, in order to truly be free, to be a liberated individual, you must break free of all those outside meaning out of your own natural born traditions. You must break free of all those things because they were only placed upon you to keep you dumbed down and to keep you enslaved. And mental bondage is way worse than physical bondage because you can put some chains around me and excuse me, I can find a way to get out of those chains and run the fuck away. And if I'm smart enough and if I know how to get through and navigate through those woods, know how to get around, know how to keep out of sight, I can get my freedom, find my freedom, be free. Okay? But that mental bondage, as long as you believe that and you are holding on to that belief, you can't break free. You ain't gonna never break free. You ain't gonna never break free. You understand what I'm saying? But you see, that's where the whole thing of emotions come in. Then we gotta understand that our culture gives us beliefs. Okay? And from our beliefs come emotions. Your beliefs come from your culture. See, this whole Christmas, this is not your culture. Okay? This is not your culture. But you believe it to be. So you have adopted it. So now you have all of these beliefs and you have all these ideologies that you use to validate that it must be true. Only because you believe it to be true. That's really all it's about. You believing it to be true. Listen, I was watching excuse me, I got a little cold. I was watching National Geographic. Was it National Geographics? I think it was. Turn this fan off. Okay, I was watching National Geographics, right, the other day. Last night, as a matter of fact, and they had some program on. I wasn't literally watching it, but the TV was turned. I could hear it from where I was, which wasn't too far from the TV. But they were talking about, they supposedly found this site. There's this site, a cave. And supposedly in this cave is allegedly the place where Jesus Christ was buried. Now, look. You know what, matter of fact, let me pull something up for y'all. Hold tight. Now, in John 39, okay, 1939, we have Nicodemus bringing to Jesus the night he was allegedly killed on the cross. We have Nicodemus, this is in the Bible. We have Nicodemus bringing Jesus a mixture of myrrh and aloes. Why would you bring a dead person a mixture of anything, for that matter? I mean, if I'm dead, you can't heal me. What you going to heal? You healing me? He brought him a mixture to heal him from his wounds, allegedly. Okay? But my point is this. Why would you be bringing anybody, a dead person, a mixture, a concoction, antidote of any sort? Okay? But this is coming from the Bible, okay? Because just before that took place, you had Joseph, okay, going to Pontus and asking, can he take the body of Jesus away? And then you have Nicodemus that night coming into the cave and feeding Jesus a mixture of myrrh and aloe. And then you have Mary, okay? Then you have Mary, okay, in John 14 and 15, who goes into the cave to view the body of Jesus and sees a man standing there dressed as a gardener. She don't recognize her own son, so she says to him, so she's there and she's crying. And Jesus comes over and he's like, woman, why weepeth thou? Why are you crying, in other words? And Mary didn't even know who he was, didn't even recognize him because he was dressed as a gardener. Okay? And she said to him, because she supposed him to be a gardener, and I'm reading this from John 15, she said to him, Sir, if thou have borne him hence, tell me where thou hast laid him, and I will take him away. Now in 16, Jesus said unto her, Mary. She turned herself and said unto him, Rabboni, which is the master. Jesus says unto her in 17, touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. So in your own Bible, it's telling you Jesus never died on no cross. So then you may turn around and you may say, well, damn, if Jesus didn't die on the cross, then why they tell us that story and why they had us believing that all along? Well, if you're a real Christian and if you really do read your Bible, you should have known that. I should not have to sit here and tell you, a so-called Christian, the verses in your own doctrine, because I don't follow that doctrine. But I know this because I do study that doctrine. Okay, I do read that doctrine. But you have it right there. He told her to her face, touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. So if that don't mean that he ain't alive, or if that, or what could that mean? What could that mean? I mean, think in your logical mind. So if we ain't talking about a man dying on a cross, and if we ain't really talking about a man going to heaven to be with his Father, or any of that, then what the heck is the Bible talking about? Now, I wrote down some of these things to y'all in that last video I did. What will it take black people to wake up? And I wrote down some paragraphs, some chapters from the Bible, trying to explain and get you to see that the Bible is not in reference to what you think it is in reference to. None of these people ever existed. Those 12 disciples are nothing more than the 12 constellations, the 12 months of the year, if you will. Okay? And that's all it really is. Okay? Those are the 12 constellations, and Jesus is the sun, and it is all about that sun and its yearly cycle through all of these constellations or zodiac houses. And if we look at a calendar, which I showed you, let me see. Let me pull this up real quick for y'all.